Good morning, good morning, good morning, beloveds. Welcome to the Heart of Magdalene, our weekly service where we come to honor our holy dwelling place, our temple. This is a place of worship, a place where you can come into yourself and come to know yourself in relationship with God, with the God consciousness, and understand through the teachings through the feminine essence how to move closer into relationship with spirit, with source, with God, and have a true relationship, a relationship that is nourishing. Today is Easter Sunday. So we will be speaking about the resurrection of Christ and the Christ consciousness, that which is in us and moving through us, and awakening all of us, but also awakening the feminine in a way that has never been done in history before. So this is a monumental time for us where we get to embrace this feminine aspect, the feminine aspects of the teachings of the way of Jesus, of the Christed way. And we're going to talk about what it means to actually allow ourselves to die unto ourselves and resurrect into enlightenment, into the way that Jesus taught us, that spoke to us. He provided the way, He died for us. He provided the way and the teachings and the capacity for us and allowed us to move forward. And it was Mary Magdalene who was available to receive it, to receive the enlightenment, to receive him when he rose, when he was no longer his human self, when he moved into this space of enlightenment. And we are at this point in history where that is available to us. It is available to us, not just the sages and the few to the many. It is now available to the many. And this is what Christ talked about. It is available to us. So we're going to spend today speaking a little bit about this in our own evolution and how do we use this beautiful feminine essence and this Christed consciousness, the holy union of the masculine and the feminine, of Jesus and Mary, to move us into that beautiful space of enlightenment so we ourselves can rise. We can rise. That is such a beautiful and exquisite promise. The kingdom and queendom of God is available to us. I mean, that is miraculous when you think about it, that we have access to this level of high quality consciousness, that we too can experience what Christ experienced is with his Father and with the kingdom of God, and move that in and through ourselves. So we're going to take a few moments, beloved, to get centered and bring this awareness and consciousness into our own heart. Okay, because we are the holy dwelling place. We are the holy dwelling place. The holy dwelling place resides in me. This is where the holy union will take place. It is within me where I merge the masculine and feminine. And by the merging of those two, I come into a holy union with me and God. And as many of you have heard me talk about lately, I have truly have experienced this understanding of what it means to become one with God, to dedicate my whole self to my love of God, to God, and allow that expression to flow through me, as me, by me. So this is our focus. So we're going to go into our holy temple here. We're going to go into our holy temple and allow our hearts to begin to expand and to open, to become receptive, become receptive to the knowledge and the wisdom that's available to us, which we talk about as Sophia, the Sophia knowledge, the Shekinah knowledge that is spoken of in the Torah. So here we are, we open our hearts and we open up into the receptivity. We open up to the receptivity. We allow ourselves to come in, just settle in, and begin to envision a beautiful white light in the center of our heart. This light is the light. This is the Christed consciousness, the consciousness of all of those of the followers of the way, the way. There are many paths to get to this way. But today we honor Jesus and we honor the resurrection of himself into the light. So we take a deep breath. We take a deep breath right here, right now, placing your hand on your heart, placing your hand on your heart. And settle in and allow that white light to come into your heart. Allow that white light to move into your heart. For this is your holy dwelling place. And so now we're going to move into the gratitude for this day, this gratitude for this moment, this gratitude for this space and place. This gratitude that Jesus was willing to die for us to show us the way home. And in this, we are called to come home unto God, come home unto ourselves, into our hearts. And Jesus led that way for us. He was willing to die for us so he could show us how to go home to the holy dwelling place within us, which is where God resides. We are grateful for that. We are grateful that this man had so much courage. He was willing to die unto himself so he can die unto his Father. And within that, we acknowledge the breath of consciousness, which is the mother essence, that love, that divine love, that compassion, the grace, the mercy, the unconditional love that is rising within us right now. As we speak, the feminine are embracing this Christed consciousness, and it is allowing the feminine essence to become the voice of wisdom, the whispers through the wind that are whispering through all of us as we rise into the new consciousness, which this is the promised land that we have been seeking, and we are grateful for that. And we recognize the beauty and the grace and the mercy and the forgiveness that is available to us within this compassion of love. We recognize this oneness, this beautiful oneness, this merging of a holy union with ourself, within this Christed consciousness, within this divine love. And we are embraced and we are held. And in this oneness, we have a spiritual realization of oneness with God, with the divine, the I am that I am. We have a realization of that, and we are thankful. We are so thankful that we get to come here today humbled, that we get to be a servant of the Most High, that we get to receive the mercy and the grace that comes with coming into alignment with this divine harmony, this wave of consciousness that is moving through our universe. And in this, we know that all we are seeking, all of our needs are met because we are living in this divine beauty, this divine grace, and all of our needs are met right here, right now. And so it is. Amen. Oh, Ashe. And so I say shalom to all of you. See, Jesus was a rabbi. Jesus was a rabbi. Christianity wasn't here yet. He wasn't preaching Christianity. He was a rabbi. He was a rabbi that was evolving the understandings of God consciousness. He was a rabbi who was willing to remove himself from elitism. He was a rabbi who knew that his people were the people on the streets. They weren't the ones that were sitting in these tabernacles, only allowing the pious to sit in the front rows, right? See, the Bible talks about this. And do we just allow the rich to sit in the front rows, or do we allow everybody? And in those times, women weren't even allowed. Women were not allowed anywhere, actually. And yet Jesus allowed, not just allowed, but he allowed women to touch him, not because he was greater than, because he knew the truth of existence. See, nobody's left out of God's world. Nobody's left out because we are one with God's world. And that includes women, that includes gays, that includes people of color, that includes people who don't believe in the way we believe. Nobody is left behind. God's too big for that. right? So here's this man who agreed, it was part of his path. He agreed to show us the way. He agreed to walk us to the light and provide us the knowledge and the wisdom that grants us the keys and access to live in this unconditional place of love. All we had to do was surrender in totality to have the same. And so on this day today, this Easter day, is a recognition of his death and rebirth, the resurrection, where he actually moves out of his humanness and into his God essence. He moved from his humanness and into his God essence. I invite you to soak that in for a minute. Because we've all had moments, that our humanness damn near kills us, right? Humanity, the experience of being alive, damn near kills us. And Jesus agreed to this in the beginning because he was going to show us a way, remind us of the way to move out of our humanness and move into enlightenment, to become the light. That's what he spoke of, to become to light. So he's moving out of his humanness into the light. And it doesn't mean being a human is without its perils. That's just part of being human. So we've all had these moments where we have had to go through our human experience. And if we do our work and we get closer and closer and closer to God, and we embrace this Christed consciousness, this light consciousness, this way, this place of unconditional love, of grace, of mercy, of compassion, of forgiveness. And we move through that despite what is happening to us. We ourselves resurrect out of that experience and rise into a higher knowing of ourself. That is called evolution. That is rising into the light, closer to the hand of God, closer to the oneness with God. That is what Jesus is showing us. He is showing us how to die unto himself gracefully, knowingly, openly, because he knew that on the other side, he was one with God. He was one with God, and there was a moment of grace, and he became his light body. He became the light. Now, what's also really beautiful and important to understand is that Mary was there. Mary was there. Now, see, I just heard someone who I adore at Agape. She did the service at Agape, and she did a sermon on the women Jesus loved, right? Not just how do women love Jesus, but how did Jesus love the women? And I thought I truly cried, right? I truly cried because Jesus loved the women. Jesus loved the women. And I also love that we are unwinding this notion that Mary Magdalene was a whore and a prostitute, that is being unwound and disproven and elevated because that's such a limited perspective on who she was. It is not even a truth. And even if it was, is that really the point? Right? Jesus loved everybody. He loved the thieves. He loved the robbers. He loved the sick. He loved the poor. He loved the women, right? He loved us all. He loved us all. And I'm going to beg that he also loved the gays. Just saying. Anyway, I do believe Jesus loved everybody. I do believe Jesus loved everybody and does love everybody. So here we are, Mary. Mary was present. Sorry, I segued. Mary was present at his rising. She was available to see the light. You see, as you moved through the stages of enlightenment, you cannot understand the light unless you have evolved into a place where you can actually recognize it. right? That is the path of enlightenment. And there are many stages along the path of the illumined. There are many stages, and you can only experience the stage with which you're at. You can't see the light if you're not at the light. You can talk about the light, you can have an intellectual knowledge of the light, you can think you know the light, but I assure you, and until you have been moved so deeply and profoundly in your holy temple, inside, and you will know. Because when you truly see that light, that love of God in a way, you will be so moved you can't but help but cry. It is the most humbling moment of your life. It is the most humbling moment of your life. So Mary had gone through the stages of enlightenment, of evolution, of moving through the illumined, of Jesus's teachings, of the way, which is why she was able to see him when he was just the light. And at first, she didn't quite recognize him. And then she understood who he was and what he was. He was in his God self, he was the light. He was the light. And when she went to share it with her brothers could not accept this as a truth, first of all, from a woman. I mean, come on. How could a woman have access to that level of knowledge? But see, that knowledge was within herself. She had already seen the light. So when she saw Jesus, she knew exactly what was in front of her. She knew because it was within her. If it wasn't within her, she wouldn't have recognized it. And so they balked. They balked. Now, what I invite and offer to you is whether you're a female or a male, is you don't have to balk. When you see the light in somebody, the first thing to do is to deny that they have it or have access to it. Because our ego doesn't want them to have something we don't have. And it also tries to dispel the knowledge because itself doesn't want to die. The ego does not want to die. It does not want to die to go higher. It wants to hold on. And this is what they call really arguing to hold on to the ordinary, arguing, the rationalizing to hold on to the ordinary, right? When I'm in conversations with people, I'll talk about the non-dual state. The light is a non-dual state, is a place of unconditional love. There is no dark there. There just isn't. And yet, I have people rationalizing to hold on to what they know, which is a denser form of consciousness. So they can stay where they are. They are rationalizing to stay ordinary rather than dying unto themselves into a space and a place they don't know or don't recognize, so they can grow in a deeper likeness and image of. See, that's what Jesus showed us today. Jesus showed us how to evolve into a higher state of consciousness. Jesus showed us the way, and he was willing to die for us. I had a friend tell me last night at dinner, we were talking about, it was on Monday that Jesus went into the temple and turned over all of the tables. Turn over all of the tables, right? Because that is not how we worship. The worship is in us. The worship is in us. And worship isn't just for the rich or for the pious. Piety does not mean that you have God. Piety simply means that you're taking on some obedience and you're trying to get to God, but piety has nothing to do with this idea and notion and having God in your heart. The other really important thing that Jesus really taught us is that nobody knows whether or not God is in your heart or not, except for you. Nobody really knows. You and God know. You and God know. But we have this religious indoctrination that demands that we do it their way because that is how they saw God. God is within us. God is within us. And what I love about Jesus is he touched all the have-nots. He was committed to all the have-nots so they too could find their way. So they too could find the heaven the heaven that is on earth, the heaven that we have access to. And what is equally as beautiful is he revealed that women are the divine as well. Right? Women are the divine as well. And there are so many divine components of the feminine essence that are essential for enlightenment. See, they were a holy union. They were a holy union. And Mary embraced the Christed consciousness within herself, and she was present to receive the light. So she, therefore, was the light. She, therefore, was the light, because you cannot see the light if you yourself are not the light. And that is the path of enlightenment. That is what the Buddha taught. That is what Christ taught. That is what many of the masters have taught. Jesus is a great master who has led the way and has paved the way. And that's what it means to accept Jesus Christ into your heart, to accept Jesus, the Christ, into your heart in that Christed way. In a Christed way, accept and embrace that Christed consciousness and move into the holy dwelling place in your heart and allow that to begin working on you. See, once you allow that to happen, once you accept that and put that into your heart, it then begins to work on you. It almost catches fire on its own. Now, the other piece is that's really important is once you allow this love, this light, this Christed consciousness into your heart and you accept it and you say yes, I call that the sacred yes. You take that sacred yes and then you make a sacred vow to God, to the divine, where you commit wholeheartedly your whole life to God. When you do that, what's equally as important is the practice and the discipline that comes with it. Because, see, we can have moments where we catch the fire and we've seen it. But if you don't nurture it, if you don't grow it, it doesn't grow. It doesn't grow. So it's almost like a fire that goes dim. It doesn't ever get extinguished because you can't extinguish God. You just can't. It just is. It just simply is. But it's incumbent upon you to nurture it and sow these gorgeous seeds of this consciousness. So I'm going to read this, and I forgot exactly where I heard it. I think it was Sema, but I think it was Sema. So this is the seed of consciousness. When you birth the Christ consciousness or the divine within you, you are becoming a seed of consciousness. You are born a seed of consciousness, and you are growing in greater awareness of it. This is moving into the light. So it is your job. It is your job to make it a tree. Now, I want to be clear. This tree is the tree of life. It is the tree of knowledge. It is spoken of in the Gospel of Mary. It is spoken of throughout many religions, this tree of life, and then there's the tree of knowledge. So make it a tree and allow this consciousness to birth within you. Take the seed, but when you are planting a seed, you must nurture it. You must nurture that seed and birth this within your body. See, that seed, you are the consciousness. It is born inside of you. And this birth, when you birth this within your body, this seed, your role is to allow it to grow, which means you nurture, you follow the way of Jesus, you follow the way that you are called to, and you allow the seed to grow. This is being used by the divine to share your unique expression. We're all given a seed that has our own unique footprint, our own unique sound wave, our own unique way. See, everything is a sound, so we have our own harmony. And the reason for you to be here is to evolve consciously within consciousness itself. And I really want you to recognize, and this is what Jesus was teaching, the reason you are here, and I can't tell you how many clients I have that want to know why they're here and they feel so disappointed. The reason you are here is to evolve consciously within consciousness itself. So we continue to expand and go deeper and wider and richer. And within ourselves becomes the fertile Garden of Eden. That's what they were talking about. The Garden of Eden is consciousness itself. When Eve bit the apple, she knew that she was going to take on a human journey. And through that human journey, she was going to evolve consciously because of that. And she was going to learn the tools of the way that Jesus talked about. See, that apple wasn't the devil. That apple was the first bite that moved her along her human journey, that allowed her to grow, to find a way to get closer to God, to get closer to God. And that is what Jesus shows us. Jesus showed us this path, this way to get close. Mary showed us that by doing the work, by being a student, by studying. But I'm talking about reverent study. I'm not talking about knowledge for the sake of gaining knowledge and power. She humbly gave herself. She was the only one that had all seven demons removed. Nobody else did. Only Mary did, which meant she was closer to God because she was pure. You need a pure heart to see the light of God. You need a pure heart. So your job is to evolve consciously within consciousness itself, so consciousness can reveal itself to you. And we have many names and words for it. So today, my beloveds, today, what I wish for you and what I hope for you is you find your way into your own seat of consciousness and you see that Christed consciousness within your heart and you embrace this and you allow it to work on you, become you, and you become one with it. And you have that moment, that continuum of a moment where you evolve and go greater and greater, because with every turn, you will become richer within yourself and you get that much closer to the pearly gates of heaven. And I'm going to tell you, it's not that you're not already in it. It's just that you can't see it yet because heaven is on earth and it is available to all of us. And when you see the light, you will never unsee it. So you will know that the kingdom and queendom of God is right here, right now. And I am going to tell you, it is actually a neutral state. It's not a he or a she, which is why I say kingdom and queendom of God. It doesn't have a he or a she preference. It's a neutral state. It's a neutral state of the divine. The divine is neutral. That is the holy union coming into that oneness where we merge so we can have that moment of enlightenment, the kundalini, where we come in and we bring that life force with that masculine energy and we combine them. So bring that into yourself. Bring that into your own holy temple. Today, I love you. I love you and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I am gifted the capacity to do this. I'm grateful that even I myself am willing to humbly walk and to grow and to continue to be a guardian of the great master's teachings, to continue to understand them in a way. And I hope you come to love God the way that I love God. And when I say God, I'm not talking about a man in the sky. I'm talking about within the heart, our heart, which is in the consciousness of the cosmic heart, the great heart, the mother heart, the universal heart. May you come to know that, and may you come to know a reverence so deep that you can't but help serve. You can't help but serve. See, if you love God, you will love all of God's things, people, earth, environment, all of it, including your own body. You will come to love your body and your vessel in a way that you'll understand this body is my sovereign temple that carries this divine essence. So today is the day of resurrection. Today is the day of rising. Today is the day of recognizing the light. of embracing the light, of being the light, of understanding you are the light, of understanding that heaven is on earth and it's right here, right now, and we are merely a reflection. And when I say merely, we are merely humbly, and yet we are the enormity, right? If you have seen consciousness or the light at all, you'll understand I am but a mere tiny little seed in this great swarm of consciousness. And yet I am part of consciousness. So there's enormity and smallness all in one shot. It's quite profound when you come to recognize the enormity of that. And it's also quite profound because you are moved into a new state of awareness, a new state of consciousness that moves you forward. See, everything's interconnected. So the divine is already available to you. You already are the divine, and the divine is you. The question is, what are you going to do with it in your resurrection when you have died and you are reborn? When you have gone through something and you are born anew? What are you going to do with that resurrection? See, what caught fire for us is the word of Jesus continues to move through, continues to teach us and grow us and light the way for us. And there's a resurgence. It's coming forward, it's stepping forward newly in the feminine rising, in the Christos of the feminine. We too now are rising, just like our brothers have, just like our brothers have. And Mary, when she spoke to her brothers and said the Christ was rising, they denied her. They said, why? Why are you able to see it and we can't? Why are you gifted something we're not? And she was hurt. She was truly hurt. If you read her gospel, you can see she was hurt. And she said, my brothers, brother was a form of affection, it was a form of family, it was a form of communion. And they denied her that she was even capable of seeing or hearing. She was brushed off like just a mere little mortal woman. How could you possibly have had anything because we were the man? This is the time. This is a time where women are rising and we're finding the feminine essence within that. And that's that compassion, that's Queen Yan. That is all of these women that have walked before us that have brought the compassion, the mercy, and the grace and the wisdom. See, wisdom is she in the Bible. Wisdom is she in the Bible. Over and over. Wisdom is she in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Wisdom is she. And many cultures, there were matriarchal cultures, pre-patriarchal cultures. The wisdom is she. She had the capacity, Mary had the capacity to carry the light. She had the capacity to carry the wisdom. And the wisdom is actually the capacity to be a guardian of the truth and to hold it pure, which is why Mary, Mother Mary, was able to birth this Christ. She was pure of heart. The virginity was really the lowest form of understanding of who Mary was and why God chose her, why she was chosen to carry the Christ, to carry Jesus and help him in his formative years to become the Christ. She was humble. She was pure. Her heart was pure. It's a pure heart. And if you understand any of the history, the women that have carried these great children, these great prodigies that will become the divine and share the divine, these mothers had pure of hearts. She was humble. She was not in the way. And Joseph was equally as humble because he wouldn't have been able to marry her. And he was willing to raise somebody else's kid so that kid could thrive. That's really getting out of your own way, dying unto yourself. So the Christ could be born and then die for us and show us the way into enlightenment. Into enlightenment. And I'm grateful for him. And I'm grateful that I've received Christ in my heart in this Christed consciousness because it has transformed the very whole of who I am. It has transformed the very whole that I am. And I am grateful that I am a female that gets to speak of the feminine rising that is embracing this Christed consciousness so that we may be born anew in a new way, in a new vision of our future. Because what's coming, I've seen it. What's coming is absolutely gorgeous. We have a new way stepping forward. We have a new way, and it's a way in the light. It's a way forward where humanity will thrive and humanity will win. I know everybody wants to talk about the death that's coming to the earth, but we're already in it, people. We are already here. If you think that we haven't experienced the apocalypse, just take a look at the genocide that's happening in our world. It's already upon us. Our hearts are barren. So heal your heart. Go home. Go home to God. Find that unconditional love that you can only find in the presence. That's the only place. And when you heal your heart, you can help carry forward the light in a new world. And that light is upon us. We are here in the new dawn. The new dawn is upon us. And it's happening. There is heaven on earth. It is available, and it's available to all of us. The Christed teachings have taught us that it is available to all of us. Seek humbly and you shall receive. Seek pure of heart and you shall be granted. But you must be pure of heart. So strip away, and all worldly desires must move out of the way. And that is who Mother Mary was. She stripped all worldly desires out of her way so she could raise a son who would show humanity a way out of their own darkness. Here we are. Here we are. And thank you. Thank you for showing us the way. Okay, beloveds, I love you. I am grateful for you. I recognize you. I see you. I see the Christedness and the love in you. And today we honor this day. Please plant that seed of consciousness and make it your job. Make it your job to recognize the truth of its consciousness and let your light shine bright upon this world. And do not hold back for anybody or for anything, for you matter. You matter. And when they say he died for us, it was so you could live, so you could find the path to have heaven on earth inside of you, in your holy temple, in your holy dwelling place. Okay, beloveds. You are loved. Peace and blessings. As Michael Beckwith would say, that's my reverence.